All right, so for this trailer, I got to get this piece back together and in there, and get a thing welded on the inside of that neck. So there's going to be a little bit of in and out for it. Let's try and get this guy going back together. So on this, my flat spot that I ground wasn't too flat. So I want to fix that. Except I'm not going to fix it by grinding more. I'm going to drill a little detent. Let's rotate this a little bit so I can get perfect 180 degrees out of it. Got two nice detents drilled in there. Now let's drill and tap the opposite side of this. Alright, let's give me another set screw and then we'll start putting this guy together. Now let's get this pin put back in here. Alright, next step is going to be to get this on there, get the truck under it, and figure out where exactly this switch needs to happen. Alright, so right there is where I want that switch to happen. So anywhere after this, this disengages. Now, let's get this clamped in the spot, taken apart, and welded back on there. Alright, so we got that clamped in there right now. Lined up so it's actually touching that little tooth right now. So that's where it needs to go. So let's get it taken apart, let's get that welded into place. Now take the whole thing back apart. So that plate was welded in. Now let's figure out this. One thing I want to do is I want to get this out and I want to check these links, make sure this thing isn't bottomed out so I can make sure these links are as free as they can be. As I do all of this, I'm going to take this apart too. I'm gonna, well, not this, but I'm gonna get some lube on all these parts as well. Some grease so they can be greased. Because I'm not planning on taking all of this apart again. Alright, now like I said, I want to change the end of this. See how it's like that? So what it does is it kind of acts as a ramp. So I want to change that and make it like a hook. So that way it doesn't put a away pressure on a thing, it puts a pull-in pressure. Alright, now I just want to put a little bit of grease on these moving parts here. So let's get some in this tube. Let's use this ball. There we go, now we got a small hole. Let's push some grease. I'm just gonna pack grease all up in this thing and blow it in there real good.
Battle starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures.
Alright, let's pack this thing with so much grease. Goes everywhere. Gotta be going somewhere. There we go, look at that, it's through. Squeezing out the ends, perfect. Let's put the rest of it in here. So there we go. It just took 100 and some odd PSI and some homemade seals and grease injection things. Well, that goes much smoother. Alright, let's get this back in here. And then we'll figure the spring out. Much more smooth. Alright, now let's dress it. more of a hook, less of a lever, or less of a ramp. So there we go. Now when it hits, it's gonna do that, and it's gonna be open by the time it actually acts as a ramp. All right, so now we got that. I need a spring. The inside part will be easy. I'll put a screw and tap one of these so I can set it in there. So I was messing with the spring already, probably like, I don't know, 10-20 minutes before I remembered I didn't have my GoPro on. So what I decided I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend one end and make a curve to hook around the screw that's already on that arm. Alright, there we go. So that'll go there. At this other end, well, just like the last one, it'll get a plate in the end of it, and it'll be drilled and tapped, screwed to the back. And now let's drill and tap this. Now let's drill this. Alright, let's drill those two up to 1/8 inch. Alright, let's tap these ones now. Alright, now I gotta cut this. Alright, now let's get this screwed in and then figure out my next issue. There we go, those are in. Now let's see what this does. Alright, let's see what happens now. Let's watch that hook down there. I don't know if you can see, there you go. It's about to hit, it's about to hit. Alright, it hit. Now I think it's taking all the slack out of the bits. And it's turning it. It's turning it. Still turning it. And there it is. And that hook is fully retracted. Alright, let's see. Trailer's there. Will the truck fit? Alright, so the truck's out and it's engaged. Truck's back in. It's picking it back up. Alright, so it's picking it back up. So now let's see it set it back down. This time we'll do full function. We'll do all 3 steps and then see if it'll pick it back up. Alright, so there it is down on the ground. Take some of the slack out of it. There we go. We got slack out. Still got weight on the tongue. Let's pick it up. There we go. Truck's out. Truck's back. Now let's disconnect from it. Oh geez. It's picking up on the truck. There we go, locks out. Right there, let's try Comes away from the trailer, locks up, keep picking it up. There we go, now I can drive around with it. Let's set it down a little bit, there we go. Alright, can I get back underneath? Oh, there we go. Just need to set it down a little further. Alright. Yep, get that foot right on there. Alright, now let's pick up on it. Alright, now I picked it up. I've got all three functions with one servo movement. Alright, so it works as I'd hoped. And you can see right here, here's the trailer. Let's see that hook engaged under there. There it is. So that's pretty cool. It's got some play and all the stuff. But it works, and that is super cool. Alright, so I'm super pumped now, because now I got a trailer with a neck that can detach on its own. And I think I'm going to leave these wires dangling for a little bit, and I'm going to start working on my axles. I'm so pumped. I got to keep my momentum going though. I want to stare at it and watch it go up and down for hours, but I gotta do stuff. So let's get into my axle kit now. This will be the last, probably hardest thing, because it's the last functional pieces. These and the suspension. After that, it'll all just be details, making things look cool, putting hooks, putting D-rings, blah, 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 whatever else. So, this is my axle kit. As you can tell, it's not actually a kit. It's a bunch of things that I got that I'm gonna turn into axles. So, let's break this down. What do I have here? Alright, so I've got me some bearings here. Which ones are these? These are 6 by 11 by 4. So 11 millimeter will fit right inside this tube. Because the inside of this is 11 millimeters. The outside is 12 millimeters. So that's that. And then what goes inside the bearing? Well, the inside is the 6 millimeter. Well, that's these. These are 6 millimeter. So they'll go inside the bearing. And now, obviously, I can't attach a wheel to that, right? It doesn't fit in the hole. But you know what does? M6, I think? Threaded rod? No, M4 threaded rod. Yep, M4 threaded rod. Because that's the same as what would normally be on your axles. It's M4. So this, guess what? Also perfectly fits inside of this tube. So now you see my idea here, right? Boom, boom, boom. But somehow I've got to make it all work and stay together. That won't be too hard. This is pretty tough. These are pretty tough. I got my M4 nuts here that I bought as well as some 12 millimeter hexes. Now, my whole concept for this was building this based on that. So I need to pretty much mirror the axles on that truck as far as width to get my width right. Once I get my 3 axles made, then I'll make a jig to line them up, all straight and even, the right spacing for the trailer, and then I'll make my suspension beams. So let's see what we can do. So let's do the rear axle and let's hang it off the end. These energy hubs come screw off, and then you're left with your nut. So I need to go get my wrench for that because I left that in the house. Alright, so I got one of my many little wrenches for nuts. You know, you get one of these with almost every kit you get, and almost every RTR you get. I don't get a whole lot of RTRs though. I usually like, obviously, getting things and making stuff, but I still got a few of these. I might be new to these trucks, but I'm certainly not new to RC. Wonder if anybody's watching this and gets this far. Was your truck your first RC? Or was it well into your RC game you decided you wanted a truck? Me, I wanted one from the beginning. I love scale stuff. So when I started building scale realistic things and I came across these trucks in one of the forums, I think it might have been like Scale 4x4 was where I first saw it, before Scale Builders Guild became a thing. But they're super cool, and I just always wanted one after that. They're just so much money. Well, not that I didn't have it. I had so many things and projects I wanted money for that I just never had the money I wanted to spend on a truck. But finally this year, got some projects done, and it was like just eat me up. I saw it, and I had to have it. Let me get a millimeter tool. Here's a millimeter tool. I like millimeters for this sort of thing. Oh. So let's see here. Overall, it's about 160 from thread to thread, outside to outside. Let's see, outside of nut to outside of nut. It's about 135. So that's pretty much what I want. I want to shoot for that 135. So let's see, what do we have here? 160 is what's on the truck, roughly. Oh geez, we're 10 millimeters narrower. That's 5 on each side. I think I'm gonna split and stretch these. Dang it. Alright, so let's mark and cut. There we go, there's my 35. Get it chucked up. Alright, so there's my nut to nut. So let's do a couple more of those. 135 millimeter. Alright, so now let's see, because if these are in there, that's all I have for a wheel and a nut. And you can barely get a nut on that. So I won't get any of the nylon locking part, which I don't like because then they'll want to come right off. So maybe I'll just make the whole axle a little narrower. Maybe let's chop another 5er off of these guys. So now it should be about 130. 130. There we go. Now they're 130. So that'll give me enough. Should give me 2.5 extra millimeters on each side. That should give me plenty to get a nut on it. Somehow I need to fix that in there. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a little weld down in it. No, I'll run a bead around each edge. Alright, so now I've got these with the threaded rods welded in. Now I want to clean up any of that weld, so I'm back down to my 6 millimeter OD. So to make sure I'm there, I'm going to take a bearing so I can try and slide it in. Once it slides in, money! There we go. Boom. There's 3 axle shafts. Alright, so the next thing that I want to do is quit for the day And I think that's going to be it for today then. So I got my mechanism in there. We gave that some runs. Works great. Love it. And I got my main axle shafts fabricated. And then we'll go from there. I didn't completely weld the ends. You can see kind of hit this side and this side. I didn't want to fuck up and overheat the threads too much, and I might have anyway. I don't know. We'll try the nuts tomorrow. In worst case, I may have to see if I have a tap or get a tap to run over them. But there you go. We got enough hanging out so we can get a nut on there. And I'm not too worried about the ends of these being kind of choppy like that, because I'm going to have those, and those I'm going to actually set the ends on the hexes. So that'll still work out great. And that's that. See you tomorrow.